Why Canadians will always hate Charlie Kirk, will always hate concepts defining America, Americans, and their authority. This video is made in relation to a very important question in front of us today. And I'm giving you this as a third-class Canadian subjugated in Canada of the British Empire entirely. I'm going to go through just the preamble of the United States Constitution as it is, as it's written, as it is accepted by all American academics at the doctorate level, from the Democrats through to the Republicans. Undeniable. In fact, I tag Susan Kokinda in this. She's made some very good videos. I've followed her for a long time, the Schiller Institute. I know all of her works going back through the 80s when she was my age. And these are Republicans. People try to put them in a pigeonhole corner like Charlie Kirk moved towards, off of a lot of what they teach and have been teaching for many, many decades. These are very old Republicans that sadly, Trump's era of folks are all senior citizens, and their time is coming to an end. We already watched LaRouche come and go. His wife continues as a senior. And all these folks continue as seniors, very well articulated, educated, but there are naiveties that come with those folks, and it's not to put down Americans and Republicans, but it's horse blinders to a reality. Now, I like Promethean action. I know Promethean politics. I know what they're trying to do for the state, the production of the people, the empowerment of the people. I get it, and I get it for America, but that is entirely not the rest of the world, and frankly, it isn't Canada at all. I'm going to give this education, this civics, and that question I propose: is Donald J. Trump minimizing Mark Carney? Is he underestimating Mark Carney and just how evil the institution of Canada is, that Canadians in majority will always hate Charlie Kirk? If you missed any of the American interviews with United Kingdom folks centered around the display yesterday, Americans, if you don't get that, and the mass confusion of British subjects, let a third-class subject who's studied your constitution, constitutionalism, like nobody else out of my class ever. And it's not to toot my own horn, everybody. I'm invited to the National Constitution Center almost monthly now, constantly by that academic, by those in charge of that. Not just the National Constitution Center, just so everybody's aware, that's where Donald J. Trump and Kamala Harris had their public debate. In the House of Constitutional Cult Following. And then this is, again, all Americans. It's not evil, it's a truth. And I'm just going to give you an expert of the preamble of the United States Constitution 80 years before this crafting of Canada's. Preamble versus preliminary. We're going to go through this short set of introductory and who's in charge, the powers of the American people versus what Canada is, as they're both introductories to their historical documents. Okay? So let's begin. Preamble, 1787. Just so everybody knows, I wrote them both down. That's all it is. That's all it is. I've written them both down. All the commentary I give, you'll be hard-pressed to find any American doctorate in constitutional law studies to dispute what I'm saying. Meaning you can go through the Democrats, Republicans alike, and nobody's going to have an argument about what I give all of you. And then we're going to go into Canada's, and then you all tell me, and Americans, I hope you see this for what it really is, because you never hear about it, and you don't care because you minimize it, because you're multi-generationally removed. But it's a reality of most of the world, if not the entirety of the Commonwealth, your northern neighbor. So first, Preamble, 1787. We, the people of the United States, in order to make a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. That is the American preamble that does what? Power of the people. Closes out, establish and ordain this Constitution, meaning the highest authority of the land is from the people of the United States of America. Please grab a dictionary, look up the word do ordain. In those contexts, ordain. I don't care, Webster or Oxford. Go for it. Do ordain, meaning the highest authority and power in the United States for the following document called the Constitution of the United States, 1887 till today, is of the authority for and by the people. They've ordained it. They've established it. It's theirs. Now, we're going to go back. In order to make a more perfect union, establish justice. What is justice? It means the people are the authority, and establish justice absolute for and by the people. It's not of the government. The government's listed what checks and balances they have after, but it's the people who prescribe justice. They are the initial authority. It's why at the very earliest of communities coming together from the family unit in America, you start with electing a sheriff, you elect your local magistrate of the people of the community. All justice starts with the people of America. This is the preamble of the United States Constitution, the absolute authority of the people. Justice, number one. Ensure domestic tranquility. Again, I don't care what English dictionary you grab. Look up the word tranquility. That means without violence. Without violence. Domestic tranquility. Without any violence. Provide for the common defense. Absolutely malicious for and by the people. It's their authority it's derived from. Promote the general welfare and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Posterity means all the children you have, all the children from your line thereof, forevermore, for eternity. As long as this world exists, as long as the United States exists, all generations will secure the blessings of liberty for and by the people. Look up the word liberty. life, security, the pursuit of happiness. That is the power of the people of America and why they establish a constitution. They're the authority. Those are absolutes. Shooting Charlie Kirk, a political assassination, no matter what anyone says, is a gross violation of everything that is the power of the American people and the America they wish to have. So, sorry folks, sure, free speech is listed in the Constitution under the Bill of Rights, as are other rights, but these are the natural state of the American people, their basic natural laws, and the authority they do ordain and establish forevermore for all Americans. That is the vision and the America that must go on forever. And then they codify the articles under the Constitution, which goes through checks and balances, what powers the government is given from the people, but the government is never to take that preamble and manipulate any of those things in any way, shape, or form. Charlie Kirk was assassinated by an American who violated the American people in the worst and grossest way and breached all natural law of America, the authority of the people, and he will be sentenced to death. He will be sentenced to death for and by the people of the United States of America, because that is the preamble of the American Constitution, where violence, the right to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness can never be violated. Those are natural rights you're born with, and all Americans agree to continue that on for every generation, forevermore, for eternity, or until the United States does no longer exist. Anyone who can't get that out of that very simple preamble, very direct, very simple language, I don't know what to tell you. Now let's look at Canada's preliminary that came 80 years later. A democracy, a British system, shared by Americans. We love each other, blah, blah, blah. Let me give it to you as a third-class subject. And I want every American to understand something. Whether Trump wants to say it or not, or go through it, which he probably won't, and he's doing his geopolitics, I get it. But I want you to understand something. There is no written constitution of the UK. There are absolutely zero natural rights in the UK. None whatsoever. That monarch and that parliamentary system ordain what rights people have. Now, who codified the first written laws promoting that customary system of the UK? Well, that is the experiment called Canada. It's an experiment, a 155-year experiment that shows you nothing of success, none whatsoever. I'm going to read it to you, and we're going to go back against the preamble of the United States Constitution. An act, in capital letters, act. An act, meaning a law, for the Union of Canada, the government thereof, and for the purposes connected therewith. 1. Where's we the people? A perfect union that establishes justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, meaning every generation to come. There's none of that. What you heard was a mandated law to make this Union of Canada for the government. For the government. Not the people, for the government. And for the purposes connected therewith, which we're going to go through. And whereas the provinces of Canada have expressed their desire to be federally united in one dominion under the crown of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, with a constitution similar in principle to that of the United Kingdom. And whereas such a union would conduce to the welfare of the provinces, not the people, and promote the interests of the British Empire. Promote the interests of the British Empire. And whereas such a union, and whereas the establishment of the union by the authority of the Parliament and our prosperity do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. The people ordain and establish. It's their authority. That's what ordain means. Highest authority, establish. The people are the highest authority. In Canada's preliminary, it's Parliament that's the highest authority. You notice how in our preliminary, the people of Canada are never mentioned, not once. It's for the provinces who wish to be. The people were never asked. There was never any kind of constitutional conventions. No people of Canada were ever permitted because they're not people, they're subjects. Subject to the authority of the government who runs everything. That is the preliminary of Canada's Constitution. It gets filthier as you read. It's much longer and much more document rich than the United States Constitution. It's very easy and simple to read. Check through each and every one of the articles and the 26 amendments. You go through all 7 and then you go through the amendments. Very simple, easy to read document that is hard to manipulate or create a new version of reality. Whereas Canada's Constitution has many documents inside it. They create and pull many documents to throw people off what the Constitution is. An autocratic dictator's nightmare. A patchwork of documents to mislead people. Oh, here's the amendment called the Charter. Oh, here's the amendment of 1902. Don't worry about the preliminary and everything written before that amendment and then written after. Don't worry about all that. Don't worry about the autocratic powers of government. How you, the people, don't have any rights at all if the Lord thy government deems it so. Because in Canada there is no we, the people. It's you, the subject to. And if you've never read the Executive Powers Acts of the provinces, the dictatorial, largely only 8 pages, except for Ontario and Quebec, who get a few more special rights, a little bit longer, windier, with more powers for those said provinces, known as Upper and Lower Canada. They get a few more powers, but ultimately the powers of the crown of that province and of those elected bureaucrats who are undefined in any constitutional documents. Premier is not defined in any constitutional documents, neither is Prime Minister. Their powers are listed by Governor General and Lieutenant Governors of the provinces. They roll all that out and tell you just how supersized their powers are. They can do anything they want, and there are no checks and balances against that. At one time, that British crown, Charles III, was the only check and balance. His family and title in UK. That disappeared in 1931, which means there are zero checks and balances to any provincial or federal crown authority in Canada. None whatsoever. There is no justice, domestic tranquility, common defense, the general welfare, and the blessings of liberty in Canada anywhere in the Constitution. It does not exist. And any ideas that the Charter is binding, that any of those rights are binding for Canadians, is a joke. The Lord can giveth and the Lord can taketh away. If you didn't know, by definition, you have several lords. Premiers are first lords. Prime Minister is prime lord, Lord of the Treasury. And that means you're all subject to, and you don't get any of that. America and Canada are completely polar opposites. We exist for only the betterment of the British Empire. And right now, if you want me to believe, Susan, you want me to believe, I have a hard time accepting that over the course of 13 years, America has watched Canada enrich Chinese gold reserves by 2,000 tons. India's gold reserves by 400 tons. To put it in perspective, America has 8,000 tons. America USD is our gold reserve currency. We are the Bretton Woods, at least the first one. And I have a hard time believing that Mark Carney, who published in 2012 a Bretton Woods 2 as Bank of Canada Lord of the Treasury, who became England's Lord of the Treasury, who's now First Lord of Canada, you're telling me that Donald J. Trump is on top of this, everything's okay. No, I'm sorry. But if you add up Russia and the BRICS nations' gold reserves, largely grown by Canada, through Charles and his family, Elizabeth and Prince Charles, now King Charles, where London was the central transfer of that gold from Canada. Canada sold all of its reserves, starting with Stephen Harper, then Justin Trudeau, all under Mark Carney's orders. Lord of the Treasury's orders. You can read his publication 2012. I give it to everybody. And Americans want me to believe that Donald Trump sees everything he's got. He's on top of it. I think he's grossly underestimated Mark Carney. I think in the last 13 years, the idea of the BRICS nations, Communist China, India, growing up to 33% of the gold reserves of the United States, and you don't think that is a major concern? Like in the next 10 to 12 years, what are their reserves going to be? Matching the United States of America? Tell me at what point the yen becomes the global reserve currency. You think this is fancy? This isn't real? This has happened in 12 years' time. Canada floats its currency under whichever regime around the world it suits to now. Mining gold for all of America's major competitors. Those who definitely don't establish justice, domestic tranquility, common defense, promote the general welfare, or secure the blessings of liberty. They certainly don't do any of that. None whatsoever. Have you been to India? 90% of people live in absolute poverty. They can't even afford shoes. China, you're suppressed. You get along, you go along. You don't own property there. You lease. You will own nothing and be happy in China. Get along, go along. That's communism. and you have no choice. You have no liberty. I have a hard time with everything I saw yesterday. I like Promethean action. I've always followed the LaRouche organization, Schiller Institute. These old Americans, these Republicans, always have. Always have. And I've watched Susan over time. I've seen all of her stuff from the 80s onward. She's put a life into it, and I agree. But make no mistake, when you live in your system and you blindly believe that these other systems are in check or are not a big issue, but yet, again, in 13 years, Canada has produced over 3,000 tons of gold, which has ended up in China, India, and other BRICS nations. And you're telling me that it won't be a concern when they crack 8,000 tons? That won't happen in the next 10 to 12 years, as it's already happened in the last 12? And you're telling me America's got this? If America had this, America would be growing its gold reserves by leaps and bounds. But it isn't. It's growing its debt. And Mark Carney and his evil group of globalists, multinationals, that a lot are in the United States, have infected the United States from that British system, that financial system, where inflation goes with the borrower, not the lender. In the United States, inflation goes with the lender, not the borrower. But the rest of the world, Canada included, inflation goes with the borrower, not the lender. You want to create elites? You want to slave people? You want to subjugate? That's how you do it. And until I see Donald J. Trump, who's made many, many executive orders, he slams Biden daily, I've been a patient man. But there's one thing enacted with UK and the United States that I don't hear LaRouche talking about. I don't hear the Schiller Institute talking about. And I'm sorry, Susan Kokinda, I don't hear you talk about. And that is the 2020 Atlantic Charter by Joe Biden. The new one that erased 1941, the Allies of World War II. And the new Green New Deal, the new path forward for America, cementing Charles, and Donald J. Trump, with everything he's done and highlighted, he has left that on the books. That is a treaty between the U.S. and the UK. And until I see Donald J. Trump address that treaty, I see America, after Donald J. Trump, going right back down the toilet, multinationals, all the agendas, full swarm, and it won't stop, because that is a binding world treaty that only president can extinguish. And Donald J. Trump hasn't done that yet. I'm sorry, Americans, but I am a third-class subject. I hate it. But I know it like nobody else. I know your system like nobody else. I know the Constitution and the American political machine like nobody else. I've studied hard at it at a doctorate level, self-taught. Lots of American academics come forward and say, hey, this guy is incredible. Let's bring him on board. Wow, does he work? And work I do, and I bring works that they would have never imagined as Americans. Because how could they? They don't know the system like I know it, that I live, and it globally too. And I think Americans can be naive on this, Republicans too. And just the gold and the amount of gold out of Canada to those nations, that screams an empowerment of BRICS over USD and an end to USD. I would say in 10 to 15 years, if things don't change with UK, Canada, the Commonwealth, and their direction with those BRICS nations, America, you're finished. You're finished on your global currency, and you will be holding all that debt. It won't be a global problem anymore. It will be a domestic American problem. It's like the fall of Rome. It'll be the fall of America. The only place that cements real liberty and really empowers the people. If you've never read the Preamble of the American Constitution, you should slowly pull out a dictionary, go through those words. It's very easy to go through the United States Constitution. The states are even better than the U.S. Constitution. I'm not knocking it. It's an excellent document. I'm just saying the states have even done a better job because they've been at it longer and they're more active with it. But when you go to Canada or so many other places, you read their documents, if they've codified a constitution, and you realize they're nothing of America, not even remotely close, never going to be, and are always going to hate America. Why? Because the people aren't there. Nowhere. Not in any province, not in the federal system, and they're constitutionally embedded to serve the master. In majority, Canadians do this. They look for their omnipotent, highest leader, conservative, liberal, NDP, Green, whatever they want. I need a leader to save me. I can't do it myself. And why? Because they've been institutionalized under that document for 150 years, and then a whole system before that, equatable to that, uncodified for another 150 years. 300 to 400 years of brainwashing. It's genetic now. Just like Americans and their civics and what they accept and understand, it's embedded in them after so many generations. Well, that's how Canadians are. And they will always, in majority, hate people like Charlie Kirk, hate people like Donald J. Trump, absolutely despise Republicans and real republicanism of we the people. They will despise it. That's the truth. And if you don't get that, I suggest you take the time. It takes a long time to go through the multi-textual Constitution known as the Constitutional Acts of Canada Consolidated, 1867 to 1982. Read all of it entirely. It'll make Americans puke. And then you'll know what Canada really is and what it isn't. It isn't anything like you, and it's never going to be like you. Unless we force a change, which I think America has to do. It's why I support the 51st state. God bless everybody. That's my video. I tagged Ian and Jonathan this. Ian, if you could load this one to YouTube. This one's Paramount. Jonathan, likewise, I would like that on X. Because this video, everybody, is 4 weeks and it's gone. That's it. That's all she wrote. God bless everybody. Share. Get this truth out there and ask the question, has Donald J. Trump underestimated Mark Carney? It looks like it to me. And what that guy has gotten away with and what the UK has gotten away with against the United States of America. How a president can just go through that and kind of shrug it off. The numbers don't add up. The economics are real. The depreciation of the American system's real. And Mark Carney's 2012 publications as a conservative under Stephen Harper and the transition into the war on America and destroy America, destroy USD is real, actual, measurable, and the truth. And the amount of gold mined out of Canada for these interest groups, they're absolutely against liberty. If you don't see that, and that's not absolutely evident, as I provided all the evidence in Mark Carney's own words, supported by Stephen Harper, conservative government of Canada of the day, and transformed by Stephen Harper, then picked up by Justin Trudeau, enacted, doubled down on, and now Mark Carney's running the show, a blend of the blue and red in Canada, which is what? Just crown evil, to the likes of which Canada's never been so wicked against the United States ever in our history. 2012 till today. An epic destruction against America and America's system, that if it falls, it will be global slavery forevermore. That's the truth. And how Americans don't see that, Republicans don't see this. Again, I don't know. Again, everybody, it's deadly accurate, undeniable. I give more. I don't know how anyone can misconstrue anything else. And just in gold, how could you misconstrue any intention other than UK and Canada attempting to destroy America forevermore? How could you not get that? And if you're that naive to believe that in 10 to 12 years, BRICS nations measuring gold bar for gold bar with the United States not being able to usurp the USD as a global currency, I don't know what to tell you. And if you can't look at Mark Carney's publication and Canadian transition of Canada and London and where gold's going throughout the world, he published in his own words as Lord of the Treasury, Bank of Canada, Mark Carney, and what he did through London that's still going on today, and now he's Prime Minister of Canada. If you don't see evil, satanic demon, a living embodiment of that, I don't know what to tell you, but it's a war on America, an effectual economic war, and I think Donald J. Trump has grossly underestimated Mark Carney. And Great Britain. Like I said, there's some treaties there that need to be revisited, ripped away, and I don't know why a president wouldn't do that. That's my video. Share, share, share. Like it, love it, or hate it. It's the truth.